Chosen one, stop scrolling. Right now, just stop. Because what I'm about to say, heaven has been waiting for you to hear it. Not next week, not someday, tonight. You didn't find this message. This message found you. And there's a reason it found you now, at this exact moment in your life, when something inside you already feels different, quieter, sharper, changed in ways you can't fully explain to anyone else. Here's the truth that's going to shake something loose in your spirit today. Heaven wasn't just watching what happened to you. Heaven was studying what happened in you. There's a difference, a profound, eternal difference. See, most people think the story is about the storm, the betrayal, the diagnosis, the loss, the years of silence when God felt distant and prayers felt like they disappeared into the ceiling. But that was never the real story. You were the real story. Specifically, what was forming inside you while the storm was raging outside you. Because something happened in those hidden moments, those 2 a.m. moments, those moments when you had every right to become bitter and you didn't, every justification to become cold and you refused, every reason to shut down completely, and something deep inside you held. That wasn't weakness surviving, that was power forming. And here's what will shake you to your core today. You didn't just endure the hardship, you mastered something inside it, something rare, something heaven doesn't see often, something that has already begun shifting the people around you, the atmosphere you walk into, the way darkness itself now hesitates before it approaches you. You felt it, haven't you? That you don't react the same anymore, that certain people have quietly disappeared from your life, and you didn't even fight to keep them, that your discernment has sharpened like a blade you didn't sharpen yourself. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Before this message is over, you're going to understand the exact power heaven says you mastered. And when you see what it is, you will finally understand why certain people can no longer stay in your presence. And why hell has been tracking your growth more closely than you realize. What changed your future was not the pain they sent, it was the way you refused to become it. If that already feels uncomfortably accurate, type, heaven saw it. Stay with me. Every word from here matters. Let me ask you something personal. And I need you to sit with this question before you answer it. How many times in your life were you hurt by someone who should have protected you? How many times did the betrayal come not from a stranger, but from someone sitting at your table, someone who knew your story, someone you trusted with the tender parts of yourself? And how many times did you swallow that pain alone, in silence, in the dark, while the world kept moving like nothing had happened to you? I know some of you have been carrying wounds for decades. Not days, not months, decades. Wounds wrapped so carefully in dignity and faith that nobody even knows they're still there. But heaven knows. And heaven has been watching something extraordinary happen inside you every single time. Here is what most people never get told. The real test was never about what happened to you. The real test was always about what happened in you. Joseph's brothers stripped him of his coat and threw him into a pit, his own blood, his own family. And in that pit, Joseph had a choice that had nothing to do with escape. He had a choice about who he would become inside the darkness. David was hunted by the very king he served faithfully. He had Saul's life in his hands twice. He could have ended it. He had every justification. And still, something in David refused to become what was trying to destroy him. Job lost everything in a single day. His children, his health, his dignity, and his closest friends sat beside him not to comfort him, but to accuse him, to tell him he must have deserved it. And Jesus, standing before Pilate, falsely accused, mocked, spit on, wearing a crown of thorns while the crowd screamed for his death. He had all power, every angel in heaven on standby, and he opened not his mouth. Do you see the pattern? Every one of them was handed a poison cup, and every one of them made the same impossible choice. They felt the pain fully, but they did not let it author their identity. That is the secret the world never taught you. Pain will always come, but pain does not get to decide who you are. You do. In that one silent moment when rage is rising and bitterness is whispering that you have every right, you do. And chosen one, you have made that choice more times than you realize. You had every human reason to become cold. Life handed you enough disappointment to freeze the warmest heart. You had every right to become bitter. The people who should have shown up didn't. The doors that should have opened closed. The recognition that should have come never arrived. You had every argument ready in your mouth. You rehearsed it. You knew exactly what to say, exactly how to say it, exactly who deserved to hear it. And still, something in you chose another way. Not because it was easy, not because you didn't feel the full weight of it, but because somewhere deep in your spirit, in that place no one else can touch, you refused. You refused to let their darkness become your nature. You refused to drink from that poison cup even when your hands were shaking holding it. That is not weakness. That is not just patience. That is spiritual steel being forged in a furnace most people never survive. Because here is what fire does to two different things. It burns wood to ash, but it forges iron into something that cannot be broken. And the difference is not the fire. The difference is what you're made of. You went into the furnace, and you came out harder, not cold, harder. Stronger, not closed, stronger. Wiser, not wounded. Wiser. Your heart became an altar. And on that altar, in your most painful moments, you made a decision about your identity, over and over again, in ways no one ever applauded, in ways no one ever saw. But heaven saw every single one. You did not win because life was gentle. You won because pain could not recruit you. And that refusal, that quiet, costly, invisible refusal, did something inside you that goes far beyond emotional survival. That choice did more than preserve your peace. It activated a spiritual function inside you. Something began forming in the hidden place. Something that the enemy studied and could not understand. Something that heaven recognized and moved toward. And in the next part of this message, you are going to see exactly why the unseen world took notice the very moment you made that choice, and what it has been building in you ever since. Because what formed in you was not just character, it was power. If you know what it cost you, the real price you paid not to become bitter, type right now, I stayed true. Because heaven already knows you did. Stay with me right here. Because what I'm about to name, most people will never hear in their lifetime. You've been carrying something. Something that formed in the dark. Something that grew in the silence. Something that nobody gave you, nobody taught you, nobody handed to you in a classroom or a church pew. It formed the hard way, through fire. And now heaven is ready to call it by its name. The power you have mastered is called spiritual transmutation. Let that settle. Spiritual transmutation. The God-given, heaven-recognized ability to receive darkness, betrayal, pressure, humiliation, grief, rejection, and transform it, not block it, not pretend it didn't happen, not smile through gritted teeth and call it faith. Transform it into wisdom, into stability, into compassion so deep it confuses people who expected you to be destroyed, into authority so quiet it doesn't need to announce itself, into clarity so sharp it cuts through deception before deception even speaks. This is not denial. Let me be absolutely clear about that. This is not the spiritual performance of acting unbothered when you are breaking inside. This is not emotional numbness. This is not weakness dressed up in religious language. And this is not pretending the wound wasn't real. The wound was real. The betrayal happened. The loss was devastating. The pain was legitimate. But here is what makes you different from nearly everyone around you. Most people absorb the pain and pass it on. That is the cycle. That is how darkness multiplies. Someone wounds you. You carry it. You leak it onto the next person. They carry it. They leak it onto someone else. Generation after generation, family after family, friendship after friendship. That is not a character flaw. That is simply what unprocessed pain does when it has nowhere to go. But you, somewhere along the way, you disrupted that cycle. Romans 12:21 says it plainly. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Not just endure it. Overcome it, transform it, change its nature before it changes yours. And beloved, that is precisely what you did. Think about the moment someone betrayed you, someone close, someone trusted, and instead of retaliating, something inside you went quiet. Not because you were weak, because something deeper took over, something that processed the poison before it reached your character. That was not weakness. That was a holy filter operating inside you. Think of toxic water passing through a purification system. The water enters contaminated, but what flows out the other side is clean. The filter didn't pretend the contamination wasn't real. It transformed it. You became that filter. And Genesis 50:20 proves this is God's pattern from the beginning. What was meant for evil, God turned it for good. Joseph didn't just survive the pit, he was transmuted by it. The betrayal that was designed to end him became the very thing that positioned him to save nations. That same pattern is operating in your life right now. Because here's what heaven reads, and 1 Samuel 16:7 confirms this. Heaven does not read your circumstances. Heaven reads your heart. Heaven was not watching what happened to you. Heaven was watching what happened inside you while it was happening. And what heaven saw was mastery. Not perfection, mastery. The ability to stand inside something unfair, something painful, something that had every right to corrupt you and choose, even at great personal cost, not to become it. That is rare. That is holy. That is the new power. And here is the major truth of this entire message. Write this somewhere if you have to. What was sent to poison you now loses its nature in your presence. Read that again. What was sent to poison you now loses its nature in your presence. The attack still came. The pressure still hit. The darkness still entered the room. But it could not remain what it was when it touched you, because you are a spiritual refinery now. A furnace that does not destroy gold, but reveals it. And that furnace inside you? It was built in the hardest seasons of your life. Every moment you chose restraint over retaliation. Every moment you stayed silent when you could have burned someone down with your words. Every moment you forgave before anyone asked you to. Every moment you kept moving when stopping would have been completely understandable. Those were not small moments. Those were the construction of power. If that word just hit your spirit, write this down somewhere right now. I am no longer a carrier of poison. Say it if you need to. Let your own ears hear it. Because that declaration is not just emotional relief, it is spiritual positioning. But do not leave this message yet, because we haven't talked about what happened on the other side of your transformation. What happened in the unseen realm when darkness realized your reactions had changed, when it studied your patterns and discovered its strategies were no longer working. What happened next changed everything about why your life looks the way it does right now. And that is exactly where we are going next. Now stay with me, because this is where it gets real. You felt it, didn't you? Something shifted in the battle around you. Not quieter, not easier, but different. Like the warfare changed its face. Like the pressure came from angles it never came from before. like the enemy stopped using the same old weapons and started reaching for something else entirely. And you couldn't quite name it. But you felt it. There's a reason for that, and it's more important than you know. Here's what you need to understand about darkness. It is not creative. It is calculated. It does not improvise. It runs patterns. It builds strategies based on what has always worked before. And for years, maybe decades, it had a working file on you. A profile. A predictable map of exactly how to move you, shake you, break you. It knew your pressure points. It knew which relationships would wound you deepest. It knew which delays would drain your faith fastest. It knew which words, spoken by which people, would send you spiraling for weeks. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom." And beloved, darkness has studied you with something that resembles wisdom. Cold, calculated, patient observation. It built its entire strategy around one assumption, that you would always respond the same way. Pain would produce reaction. Delay would produce doubt. Betrayal would produce rage. Loneliness would produce collapse. And for a season, it wasn't wrong. But then something happened. You stopped responding the way it expected. You got knocked down, and you got back up faster than the timeline allowed. You got betrayed, and instead of rage, there was a strange, unsettling peace in you that even you couldn't fully explain. You got lonely, and instead of collapsing, something in you went quiet and deep, like roots pushing further into the ground. You noticed it too, didn't you? That what used to knock you down now passes through faster. That chaos stopped owning you the way it once did. That you could stand in the middle of a storm and feel something inside you that the storm simply could not touch. That was not random. That was not lucky. That was transformation making you unpredictable. And the moment you became unpredictable, hell had a problem. Because old keys don't open new locks. Think about that. When God rebuilds you from the inside, the old entry points, the old wounds, the old triggers, the old access roads that darkness used to walk straight through, they don't fit anymore. The lock changed. The architecture changed. And the enemy is standing outside with a ring full of keys that no longer work. So what did it do? It evolved the attack. That's why you started feeling pressure from strange directions. Not the usual suspects. Not the obvious battles. Subtle things, quiet disruptions. Relationships that seemed fine on the surface but carried an unusual friction underneath. Confusion swirling around you, but somehow, inexplicably, more clarity rising within you at the same time. You noticed that certain people began acting strangely around you, pulling back without explanation, becoming distant, even aggressive, without cause. And you wondered, what did I do? Chosen one. You didn't do anything wrong. You grew, and growth changes the atmosphere. When your frequency changes, what is not aligned with it cannot remain comfortable in your presence. Not through confrontation, not through rejection, through incompatibility. You became something that certain spirits, certain people, certain patterns simply cannot coexist with anymore. Job 23:10 declares it plainly. He knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold, not silver. Gold. Gold that has been through the fire so many times it no longer burns. Gold that has been refined to the point where impurities have no place left to hide. That is what you are becoming, and darkness knows it. Which is why the darts are still coming, but they're losing their poison on impact. They're hitting something they weren't designed to penetrate. That was not random tension in your life these past months. That was resistance meeting transformation. And here is the part that should shake something awake in your spirit right now. Heaven was not just protecting you anymore. Heaven was preparing to trust you. There is a difference between a soldier being shielded in a bunker and a soldier being positioned on the front line. Both are covered, but only one has been cleared for the assignment. Only one has been tested enough to carry something greater. The enemy did not back off because it became kind. It hesitated because the old strategy stopped working. And when hell hesitates, heaven moves. You are standing at the exact intersection of those two realities right now. The old attacks are losing power. New doors are beginning to respond to your footsteps. And the question is no longer whether you survived the battle. The question is, do you understand what the battle built inside you? Because what was forged in that hidden furnace has a name. And in the next part, heaven is going to reveal exactly what it is and why it was never just about you. If you've felt the battle change, not disappear, but change type, the strategy shifted. Now stay with me. Because this next part, this is where it gets personal. I'm not going to preach at you. I'm going to describe your life. And when you hear it, I need you to pay attention, because what feels like loss right now, heaven calls something else entirely. Let me ask you something direct. Have you noticed that certain people who were once constants in your life, have quietly stepped back? No big argument, no dramatic falling out. They just faded, like morning fog burning off in the sun, gone before you could fully explain why. Have you noticed that situations which used to steal weeks of your peace now only take days, sometimes hours? Have you noticed that you can walk into a room, feel the tension immediately, and not be swallowed by it the way you once were? Have you noticed that silence which once terrified you now tells you more than any conversation could? That is not aging. That is not indifference. That is not you becoming cold or disconnected. That is the power becoming active. Proverbs 4:18 says, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." You are not dimming, chosen one. You are brightening, and everything that cannot survive your light is simply doing what darkness does, retreating. Here is where most people make a devastating mistake. They call this loss. They sit in church pews or alone in their living rooms, and they grieve the friendships that thinned. They wonder what they did wrong. They apologize for changes they didn't choose. They shrink themselves trying to fit back into spaces they have simply outgrown. But heaven calls it something different. Heaven calls it alignment. And if you misunderstand this stage, if you grieve what God deliberately removed, you will spend years mourning what was actually a miracle. You will fight to restore what heaven strategically cleared away to make room for your assignment. Think about a tree in late October. The leaves fall, every single one, and someone who doesn't understand the seasons looks at that tree and sees death, sees loss, sees something broken. But the tree is not dying. The tree is preparing for what only comes after the falling. That is you right now. Some relationships fell. Some environments stopped feeling like home. Some conversations that once energized you now exhaust you within minutes. Some approval you once chased, you can't even remember why you wanted it so badly. And chosen one, especially those of you who have walked with God for decades, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The friendships that thinned without warning. The family members who no longer understand you the way they once did. The church circles where you smile and nod, but feel like a stranger in a familiar room. The exhaustion of defending truths that your spirit already settled years ago. That is not disconnection. That is elevation. Old garments don't fit a body that has grown. You don't force yourself back into what no longer fits you. Acknowledge that something in you has changed, and you walk forward accordingly. Romans 12:2 says it plainly. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformed, not adjusted, not slightly improved. Transformed. And when genuine transformation happens, your frequency changes. What once matched you no longer does. What once felt comfortable now feels confining. What once felt like community now feels like a costume you're being asked to wear. That discomfort is not a warning sign. That discomfort is confirmation. Your inner alignment shifted, and now your outer world is catching up. Here is what breaks my heart though. So many of God's chosen ones, especially the seasoned ones, the ones who have carried decades of faith, decades of endurance, decades of silent sacrifice, they spend this stage of their life apologizing for their growth. They make themselves smaller so others feel comfortable. They dim their discernment to avoid conflict. They trade their peace for approval from people who were never assigned to their destiny anyway. And I need you to hear this clearly today. Peace is not a reward for the compliant. Peace is a weapon for the transformed. When you stop needing every person to understand you, that is not loneliness. That is authority. When you stop chasing validation from rooms that were never meant to hold you, that is not pride. That is clarity. When pain no longer destroys you but teaches you within days instead of years, that is not emotional distance. That is mastery. You did not lose everything. Some things simply could not survive the version of you that heaven strengthened. Read that again. Let it settle into your bones. Because the version of you that heaven has been building quietly, privately, through every fire you walked through, that version carries something that certain people, certain patterns, and certain environments were never designed to hold. And now that you understand why things have been falling away, the real question becomes this: what exactly is the power that heaven formed inside you, and what is it now preparing you to carry? That answer is coming, and it will change the way you see every single thing you have survived. If you've watched things fall away without fully understanding why, right, it was alignment. You're still here, and heaven knew you would be. Because what just landed in your spirit wasn't comfort. It was confirmation. And confirmation always pulls the right person deeper, not away. So now we go further, because there's something heaven needs to say directly to you. Not whispered, not suggested, declared. You have been found trustworthy. Not because you were perfect, not because you never fell, not because your record is clean or your past is pretty, but because when the weight came, and it came hard, you did not collapse into something unrecognizable. You held, and in heaven's economy, that changes everything. Here is a truth that most people never hear in church, never read on a greeting card, never see on an inspirational poster on anybody's wall. Heaven does not entrust greater weight to comfortable hearts. Heaven entrusts weight to proven ones. And the proving ground was never the pulpit. It was never the praise team. It was never the Sunday morning smile you wore while everything inside you was quietly breaking. The proving ground was the private moment, the hidden choice, the silent decision you made in a room where nobody was watching, where nobody would have blamed you for becoming something harder, something colder, something closed. That was the test, and you passed it. Now hear this like a verdict being read over your life, because that is exactly what this is. Joseph was not promoted from the pit. He was promoted from the prison after years of faithfulness in a place that had no audience. Genesis 41. In a single day, heaven moved him from forgotten to second in command over an entire nation. But the qualification wasn't his dreams. It was what those years of silence produced in him. Moses wasn't trusted with a nation at 40. He was trusted at 80 after 40 years in the wilderness shaped something in him that the palace in Egypt never could. Exodus 3. The burning bush didn't appear to an ambitious young man. It appeared to a man who had been refined by obscurity. David wasn't anointed for the throne and immediately placed on it. He spent years in caves, running, hiding, hunted by the very king he served faithfully. And in those caves, psalm after psalm was born, not from comfort, but from pressure. The cave didn't break him, it built him. Anna, 84 years old, a widow who never left the temple, who fasted and prayed through decades of silence that most people would have called wasted. Luke 2. And when the moment of heaven's greatest announcement arrived, the birth of the Messiah, God didn't choose a young theologian to recognize it. He chose her, because endurance had made her eyes sharper than anyone else in the room. And Caleb, 85 years old in Joshua 14, standing before Joshua saying, "Give me this mountain," the same mountain that once terrified an entire generation. He said, "I am as strong now as I was at 40, because the wilderness didn't age him. It seasoned him." Do you see the pattern? Every single one of them was trusted in old age or after long suffering, because endurance proved capacity. And now heaven is saying the same thing over your life. Your private restraint became your public qualification. Read that again. Let it land where it needs to land. Every time you chose not to retaliate, that was a qualification being stamped on your record. Every time you stayed silent when your flesh wanted to scream, that was a credential being written in eternity. Every time you processed the pain without passing it forward onto someone innocent, that was heaven watching and saying, "This one can be trusted with more." But trusted for what? That question is the one I need you to sit with for just a moment, because it's not enough to know you were tested. You need to understand what the test was preparing you to carry. What exactly is heaven preparing you to stabilize? There are people coming into your life, some already circling, who are on the edge of giving up, on the edge of bitterness, on the edge of making a decision that will cost them everything. And they are not going to listen to someone who has never been broken. They are not going to trust advice from someone who has never bled. They need someone with your scars, because your scars speak a language that polished people cannot. And this next season requires someone who survived enough not just to tell the story, but to become the living proof that surviving is possible. Heaven is not promoting you to a platform. Heaven is positioning you as a pillar. A pillar holds weight. A pillar doesn't move when everything around it shakes. A pillar was tested under pressure long before anyone was allowed to lean on it. That is you now. And what gets placed on a pillar is heavier and more precious than what gets placed on a shelf. If this message is naming your life with frightening accuracy, type right now, "Heaven can trust me now." And send this to somebody who survived enough pain to understand what it means not to become it. Because the next part of this message reveals exactly what heaven is now preparing you to carry, and why this new season will look nothing like anything that came before it. Now I need you to hear this next part carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not encouragement. It is identification. There is a name heaven has placed on you in this season. Not the name your pain gave you, not the name your struggle assigned you, not the name people called you when they misunderstood you. A new name, earned through fire, confirmed through silence, sealed through every moment you chose peace when war was the easier option. And that name is this. You have become a stabilizing presence. Let that land. Do you understand what that means? Not just spiritually, in real life, in the rooms you walk into, in the families you hold together, in the conversations where everyone else is falling apart, and somehow, you are the one who stays grounded. You became the calm. Not because life stopped being hard, but because something inside you stopped being moved by every wave. The Bible says it plainly in Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. Heaven doesn't build that kind of person casually. That kind of person is forged. Slowly, quietly, through years of carrying weight that was never fully seen by anyone else. And that person is you. Think about the last 5 years of your life. Honestly, how many rooms did you walk into where the tension was thick enough to cut, and something about your presence began to soften it? How many times did someone call you, not because you had all the answers, but because just hearing your voice made the panic slow down. How many times were you the last one standing when everyone else had already broken? You didn't ask for that role. It was assigned to you through endurance. There's a difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer only reads the temperature in the room. It tells you how bad things are. But a thermostat changes the temperature. It doesn't just respond to the environment, it regulates it. You stopped being a thermometer a long time ago. You became the thermostat. And most people around you don't have language for what they feel when you're near. They just know something settles. Something breathes easier. Something that was wound tight begins to loosen. That is not personality. That is not charm. That is spiritual gravity. And spiritual gravity is only built one way, through years of processing pain without releasing poison. The oak tree doesn't become massive overnight. It grows through drought, through storms, through seasons where nothing visible seems to be happening. But underground, the roots are going deeper than anyone can see. And when the bad weather finally comes, and it always comes, every other tree bends. Every branch around it shakes. But the oak holds. You are that oak, chosen one. And here's what breaks my heart with gratitude when I think about you. Because I know who you really are behind that stillness. I know you didn't always feel like the strong one. I know there were nights, long, silent, brutal nights, where you were holding everyone else together while privately coming apart yourself. Carrying peace on the outside while grieving on the inside. Being the lighthouse for ships you didn't even know were watching you. That is the heaviest kind of strength. And God saw every single pound of it. Isaiah 40:29 says He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. That verse wasn't written for people who had it easy. It was written for people exactly like you. People who kept showing up. People who kept holding. People who kept choosing peace when bitterness was cheaper and faster and would have felt so much better in the moment. You chose the harder thing every time. And now that refusal has become your nature. You don't even have to try anymore. You walk into chaos, and chaos adjusts. You enter a conversation full of fire, and the fire finds nowhere to spread. You stand in the middle of someone else's storm, and the wind shifts. You are no longer just protected from chaos. You have become dangerous to chaos. Read that again. Let it go all the way down. Because the enemy understood something about you before you understood it about yourself. He wasn't afraid of what you were going through. He was terrified of what you were becoming on the other side of it. He studied your growth the way a general studies an advancing army. Because a person who can transform pain without passing it on, that person cannot be controlled, cannot be predicted, cannot be stopped. And that is who heaven has confirmed you to be today. Not fragile, not fading, not forgotten, stabilized, rooted, dangerous to every dark thing that thought it had won. And if that is who you've become, then the next question is completely unavoidable. Why would God build this in you, this specific, rare, deeply costly kind of strength, if He planned to keep you hidden forever? The answer to that question is coming, and it will change the way you see everything that is about to unfold in your life. If you know you've become the calm in rooms that used to shake, you write, "I carry peace with weight." Here is something nobody warns you about. After the warfare, after the wilderness, after the long seasons of silence and struggle, and holding on by nothing but the thinnest thread of faith, when life finally starts to move, some people panic, not because something went wrong, because something went right. And, chosen one, I need you to hear this clearly today, because this might be the most dangerous moment of your entire journey. Not the hardship, not the betrayal, not the years when doors refuse to open. This moment, right now, when the doors are finally swinging wide, Because here is the hidden war nobody talks about. You spent years learning how to survive resistance. You became an expert at enduring. You built your entire identity around pushing through walls, praying through darkness, holding on when everything said let go. And now something has shifted. The resistance is lighter. Opportunities are appearing without the desperate striving. Relationships are forming without the exhausting effort. Peace has settled into places that used to feel like battlegrounds. And instead of receiving it, something inside you whispered, "This feels wrong." Does that hit somewhere deep? Because that whisper is not wisdom. That whisper is a trap. Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." You carried that sickness for so long that your heart forgot what health feels like. So, when health arrives, when momentum arrives, it feels foreign, it feels suspicious, it feels like something you should be careful about. And so you slow down, you second guess, you pull back, you shrink. Chosen one, that is not discernment. That is a wound still speaking. Think about a man who spent 20 years in a prison cell. Every morning, 4 walls. Every night, 4 walls. And then one morning, the gate opens. Just opens. No warning, no fanfare. Just open. And he stands there, frozen. Not because the gate is dangerous, because open space feels more terrifying than the cage that nearly destroyed him. That is what some of you are doing right now. Standing at an open gate and calling it a trap. Standing in open sky and calling it unsafe. Standing at the edge of everything you prayed for and whispering, "What if I'm not ready?" Let me answer that question with the full authority of 50 years of walking with this word. You are not being rushed. You are being released. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. Being rushed means you are not ready. Being released means the preparation is complete. And heaven does not release what is not ready. Heaven does not open gates for prisoners who still need the cage. The fact that flow has begun is not a warning sign, it is a confirmation sign. Romans 8:28 doesn't say God works some things together for good. It says all things. That means every year of delay was preparation. Every closed door was alignment. Every season of warfare was building the exact capacity you now need to carry what is coming. And what is coming is not small. So I need to ask you something direct, something that might make you uncomfortable. What are you still apologizing for? Why are you still shrinking to fit into rooms you have already outgrown? Why are you still explaining yourself to people who were never assigned to your next chapter? Why are you still moving at the pace of your pain when heaven has already set you to the pace of your purpose? Do not call it strange when life starts responding to the version of you heaven already approved. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. An eagle that spent years in a cage does not forget how to fly. The wings remember. The instinct remembers. What the eagle must overcome is the belief that the sky is still forbidden. Chosen one, the sky is not forbidden. The sky is yours. Isaiah 40:31 declares it. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Not crawl, not creep carefully forward. Mount up. That is the language of acceleration. That is the language of someone who has waited long enough, endured deeply enough, and is now being released into the full wingspan of their calling. So, I am telling you directly, do not sabotage this. Do not let the familiarity of suffering make you suspicious of grace. Do not let old warfare make you flinch at new favor. Do not let the memory of closed doors make you hesitate at open ones. A river does not apologize for breaking through the ground it spent years pressing against. It simply flows because that is what it was always meant to do. You were always meant to flow like this. And here is what I need you to understand before we go further, because the final truth is even bigger. This power was never only about your peace. It was never only about your healing, your restoration, your breakthrough. It was meant to become something greater, something that reaches far beyond your own life. It was meant to become service, and that chosen one is exactly where we are going next. But first, make a declaration right now. Say it out loud. Type it where someone can witness it. I will not go backward. Now I need you to stay with me right here, because this is where everything shifts. Everything we've talked about, the pain you transformed, the bitterness you refused, the silence you endured, the power that formed in you without you even knowing it. None of that was only for you. Not one drop of it. God never developed something this rare in a person just to keep it contained inside one life. That is not how heaven operates. That is not how the kingdom works. What was built in you was built with someone else in mind. Many someone else's. Let me ask you something that may be the most important question you've heard in years. What if the pain that almost destroyed you was never really about you? What if you were standing at the end of a long, terrible river, a river that has been flowing through your family for generations, carrying shame, carrying rage, carrying addiction, carrying abandonment, carrying silence, and heaven placed you exactly there, at that exact bend in the river, because you were the one strong enough to dam it, not divert it, not survive it. Damn it, stop it, end it, here, now, with you. This is what the Bible means when it traces the story of Joseph. His brothers meant it for evil, every bit of it. The pit, the betrayal, the false accusation, the prison, the forgotten years. But God was building a dam, and when Joseph finally stood in his power, he looked at the very people who hurt him and said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to preserve many lives." Not just his life. Chosen one, that is your story too. Every time you absorbed pain and refused to pass it on, you were doing what Joseph did. Every time you chose silence over retaliation, you were doing what Moses did when he led a broken people without becoming broken himself. Every time you stayed when you could have left, loved when you could have hardened, you were doing what Esther did, standing in a gap that would have cost an entire generation if she had stayed quiet. You were never just healing yourself. You were healing what came before you and protecting what comes after. Now hear me clearly, because this part is especially for those of you who have lived long enough to carry real scars. You are not retired from this assignment. You are not too old. You are not sidelined. You are not forgotten. You are deployed. The church has lied to you if it made you feel like your best years were behind you. Caleb was 85 years old when he looked at his mountain and said, "Give me this mountain." 85. And God said yes. Anna was in the temple at 84, fasting, praying, prophesying, and she was the one chosen to recognize the Savior when he arrived. Paul wrote his most powerful letters from a prison cell, not a platform. Your scars are not disqualifications, they are credentials. Your wrinkles are not evidence of decline, they are evidence of survival, of endurance, of wisdom that cannot be downloaded, cannot be faked, cannot be purchased. It can only be lived. And the younger people watching you, your children, your grandchildren, the ones sitting at your table, the ones who study how you respond when things fall apart, they are not just watching your life, they are being shaped by it. Every time you choose peace over panic in front of them, you are rewiring what they believe is possible. Every time you forgive out loud, you are giving them permission to do the same. Every time you trust God in the dark, you become a living testimony that faith is not theory. You are medicine. Living, breathing, walking medicine. Salt, Jesus called it. Salt preserves what would otherwise decay. Salt changes the nature of everything it touches, not by force, by presence. That is you. In your family, in your church, in your neighborhood, in every room you enter. You are the firewall against a generational fire that wanted to keep burning. You are the living bridge between the pain of the past and the healing of the future. You are the holy interruption. The cycle reached you, decades of it, generations of it, wave after wave of it, and it could not pass through, because you would not let it. That is not ordinary. That is not coincidence. That is a calling so specific, so precise, that heaven assigned it to you before you were born and spent your entire life qualifying you to carry it. And now, we arrive at the final revelation. What heaven confirms you mastered is not just a power. It is a commission. It is an assignment with your name on it, sealed before the foundations of the earth, activated through every private battle you survived, and now ready, finally ready to move through you into the lives of everyone still downstream. The question is no longer whether you have the power. The question is, will you walk in it? If you believe something ends with you and healing begins after you, type, "The cycle stops here," because it does, and you are the proof. Let me tell you what this power actually is. Not dominance, not control, not influence over people, not a platform, not recognition, not anything the world would put on a billboard or celebrate at a banquet. This power is quieter than that, and infinitely more dangerous to darkness. It is this: to be wounded and remain aligned, to face darkness and refuse to reproduce it, to carry peace with such authority that chaos reorganizes itself when you walk into the room, to take pressure, the kind that would have destroyed you 10 years ago, and transform it into wisdom that now protects everyone around you, to become so stable internally that heaven looks at you and says, "I can trust this one with more." That is the power. That is what formed in the furnace. That is what was being forged in every silent moment nobody applauded, every night you endured without answers, every morning you chose to rise when everything in you wanted to stay down. Proverbs 17:3 says it plainly. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold. God does the refining. You were never just surviving. You were being refined. And now the sword is finished. The oil is ready. The sealed letter has been opened. And heaven is looking at you saying, "Now move." So let me speak directly, and I need you to hear every word of this. To the widow sitting alone in a house full of memories your strongest chapter has not passed. It is arriving. To the veteran who buried his tears so deep he forgot they were there, heaven saw everyone. And what you carried in silence has become authority that rooms will feel when you enter them. To the grandmother who raised children, prayed through heartbreak, forgave people who never apologized, and still showed up faithful, you were never overlooked. You were being observed. Heaven has been studying you. To the man who thought 70 meant finished, David was anointed as a boy, but didn't walk into his full assignment until he had scars. Your scars are not evidence of decline. They are credentials. To the believer who whispered in secret, "Maybe my best days are behind me," I need you to hear heaven's answer right now. Your new power is not coming. Heaven says you already mastered it. The question was never whether you had it. The question is whether you will now walk in it on purpose. Because here is what hell understood before you did. If you ever fully recognized what formed inside you, if you ever stopped apologizing for your age, stopped shrinking in spaces you were called to fill, stopped grieving the people and seasons that were removed because they could not carry what you now carry, you would become unstoppable. And that terrified the enemy. So he whispered, "You were too old, too tired, too late, too ordinary, too broken by too much loss." But heaven was never confused about who you are. Listen to me now. This is the final word, and I need it to land in your bones. They tried to wound you, but you became wiser. They tried to isolate you, but you became clearer. They tried to delay you, but you became steadier. They tried to harden you, but you became holier. They thought the pressure would break you. Heaven says the pressure introduced you. introduced you to a version of yourself that could not have existed without the fire, introduced you to a capacity for peace that only comes from surviving storms, introduced you to a depth of discernment that younger versions of you could never have carried. Romans 5:3-4. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Character produces hope. You are not at the beginning of that process. You are at the end of it. You are the hope that came out the other side. You are the evidence. You are the testimony walking in shoes. You are the living proof that God does not waste a single thing He allows. And now heaven is commissioning you. Not retiring you, commissioning you. Stop waiting to become who you already are. Stop defending what heaven already confirmed. Stop interpreting your age as limitation when God is calling it preparation. Walk into every room with the full weight of what was formed in you. Speak with the authority of someone who has been through the fire and came out without the smell of smoke. Carry your peace like the weapon it is. Let your presence shift atmospheres you never even planned to enter. This is your assignment. This is your moment. This is your commissioning. Chosen one, heaven confirms you mastered a new power. Now walk in it. If this message is your witness today, type, "I have mastered it." Send this to someone who survived enough pain to carry peace with authority. They need to hear this tonight. Subscribe if you want messages that speak to the hidden places heaven has been shaping in you. And tonight, before you close your eyes, pray this one prayer. Lord, help me walk intentionally in what you already formed in me. That prayer will change everything that comes next.